Are you the victim of narcissistic injury and maybe then narcissistic rage? In this episode of the Narcissism 101, I'm going to talk all about what that is, what the destructive force is of that narcissistic injury, and how to avoid it. Hi, I'm Rebecca Zung, top 1% attorney and the best-selling author of the books Negotiate Like You Matter and Breaking Free, a Step-by-Step Divorce Guide. And I've helped thousands of people go from lives of drama, trauma, and chaos to step into lives of freedom, possibility, and purpose. And I do the same thing for you right here in these videos. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, now is a great time to do that. Subscribe and hit the notification bell, and then you'll get notified every time I upload brand new content. Now let's talk about narcissistic injury. What is that? So narcissists, if you don't understand their personality type, are actually the most insecure, fragile people on the planet. They do a lot to cover that up. I kind of often think of like the little Wizard of Oz, when by the time they got up this big, huge yellow brick road and they saw Emerald City and it was this massive, huge thing. And they get there and they're talking to this person and this being, and it's super loud. And it's really just this little old man behind a curtain who's like pulling all the strings. That's what a narcissist is. They cover themselves with tons of trappings in order to cover up the fact that they're actually the most scared little people on the planet. So what happens is something happened to them when they were children, maybe when they were 5, 6, or 7 years old, and they started to believe and see the world as a place that's not safe, and as a place that they couldn't trust, and as a place that they had to survive. And so what happens is they have no inner sense of self-esteem. They have to get all of their self-esteem, or they don't even get any self-esteem, but they have to get all of their sense of value from the outside world. And we call that narcissistic supply. And if you haven't watched my video on the Narcissism 101 on Narcissistic Supply, I suggest that you go and do that. What narcissistic supply is anything that feeds their ego. So it might be money, it might be compliments, it might be a big house, it might be a prestigious job, something like that. But it also comes in the form of a dark underbelly, which is anything that feeds their ego in a bad way. So it could be degrading, devaluing, debasing people, judging people, basically saying, gaslighting people, using word salad. So when you're dealing with narcissistic injury, it's this open scab, basically, almost like an open sore for them, that if you touch on that, you're going to see the narcissistic rage come flying out. Basically, it's this little fragile ego inside of them that if they feel slighted in any way, then they react with this unbelievable rage. So if for some reason, and they can smell being slighted, or any kind of tone, or any kind of, even if it's made up, this slight could be potentially just made up. But if for some reason they sense that you're not for them in any way, then you are against them. And that's when that narcissistic rage will come flying out. So what narcissistic injury actually is like a vulnerability inside of them, a vulnerability in their self-esteem, that if there's any form of criticism or any form of defeat or any form of perceived going against them in some way, even if it's made up, even if they suspect that you're cheating when you're not, or they suspect that you talked badly about them, or that you just made an offhanded remark at a dinner party about, I don't know, some ex-boyfriend or girlfriend or something, and now all of a sudden it's just a 3-day huge fight because that injury was triggered. It's almost like hitting a scab that is now open. And so the reaction to any kind of bumping up against that narcissistic injury is going to seem like way out of proportion. You're going to be thinking, what the heck is going on here? I mean, it could be just the slightest little thing and it gets triggered. And in my divorce cases, I see it a lot because somebody will, let's say they offer you some sort of a parenting plan or something like that, and you want to change it a little bit. Well, now the narcissistic rage will come flying out. I mean, I had a situation with a client one time where, and this was actually pretty recently, where we were getting ready to mediate a case with a malignant narcissistic husband. I was representing the wife, and he showed up and he just didn't even like the way the mediator was talking to him. I mean, the mediator was just basically giving his opening statement and saying, I'm the mediator, and this is how long I've been a mediator, and this is your day of opportunity to settle your case, and blah, 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 blah. And, this guy at that point hadn't hired a lawyer. He did end up going to find a lawyer after that. But, so my client and I were on one side of the table and he's on the other side, and the mediator is at the end of the table. And the mediator made the mistake of saying something about, okay, I understand the issues to be a property division and alimony. And when he mentioned the word alimony, this guy stood up and started freaking out and screaming and yelling. And finally, I said to my client, I said, why don't you and I just step out? So we stepped out. We left the mediator in there to try to talk him down and calm him down. And he didn't ever calm down. He just screamed and yelled, and then he just left. And so we didn't even get to mediate the case because that narcissistic injury was somehow touched within him that, that he, after a 32-year marriage where he was the breadwinner, that he might actually have to pay some support to my client. And then, later on, we even went back and mediated the case again once he had a lawyer, and we mediated it over 2 days. And, he started off by taking these unreasonable positions and all these things. It's all because that injury within him was triggered by the divorce and by the fact that she didn't want to be in the relationship anymore. So that's what you see with narcissistic injury. And if you are so ready to get away from this narcissistic injury and all this crazy chaos, give me a "so ready" in the comments. So that's narcissistic injury in a nutshell. There's actually probably whole entire books written on it, but that's just enough in a nutshell so that you can understand it, so that when you go to negotiate with it and create leverage around it, you'll understand that personality type. If you are getting ready to negotiate with the narcissist, make sure you grab my free Crush My Negotiation Prep Worksheet. It is basically an e-booklet, and you will not want to go into a negotiation without it. You can get it at the link below, or you can just go to winmynegotiation.com and it will be all yours. And if you want to join my free private Facebook group, it's called Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. Come on over and get supported. Be with other people who are dealing with narcissists in a private setting. We'd love to see you there. And if you like this video, give it a like, give it a share, drop me a comment. Let me know that you were here. I'm so glad that you were here. And remember, today's a great day to start negotiating your best life. I'll see you in the next video.